Chapter 4. Go Fish. I was sitting at my desk after lunch when Miss Maxie had her back to us and was writing a long list of spelling words she had taken out of the great Gilly Hopkins, which was so good I could actually listen to it for more than a minute at a time. But now that I had heard it all, I was playing with a house key that was on a long string around my neck. I loved touching the old brass key with a smooth, round top that looked like a tiny face. It was like touching something magic. I don't know how it locked and unlocked doors. It just did. Mom had given me the key since my grandma wasn't around, and when I got home from school 2 hours before she got home from work. She trusted me with the key, and we had a rule that I went directly home, and once inside, I could do anything I wanted except light the gas stove, take a bath, make joke phone calls to strangers, or throw the baseball at the walls, because it did them. And once I was in the house, I was forbidden to step outside or open the door for strangers. This was okay with me because like I told the doctor, some kids in my neighborhoods were pretty mean. Once a few of them caught me on my way home from school. A kid named Ford, he held me down and tied a leash around my neck. "Roll over," he hollered, and I did. "Play dead," he ordered. That scared me, and I jerked my head out of the leash, which ripped one of my nose holes so that it bled. But I got away, and now I didn't open the door for no one. I was messing with my house key, and before long, I had it in my mouth, and I was playing a game. I was trying to train myself to swallow the key so I could slowly pull it back up from inside my belly, but up my throat and into my mouth, like I was fishing for bottom feeders. It hurt to do it because sometimes the key got caught sideways down my throat. But when it did, I just give the string a tug and it straightened right out. The only other problem was that every now and again it made me gag so hard I almost threw up. Since I was doing it after lunch, I thought it would be especially colorful, like bits and pieces of food would stick to the key and the string, and I'd suck them off and re-swallow them. Miss Maxie must have turned around, but I never saw her. I was still fishing and wondering if I could pull my liver up, or my kidney, or some organ we had studied in science, when suddenly Miss Maxie swooped down on me. With one hand, she yanked the string out of my mouth, which really hurt because the key was about halfway down my throat. Then with her other hand, she shook me. She took the sharp, teacher-only pointed scissors and cut the string off the key and put the key in my t-shirt pocket. "Keep your mind on your work," she said, tapping the rule sheet on my desk. "Now, listen up." "Okay," I said, and quickly sat on my hands. As soon as she left, I pulled the old photograph of me out of my jeans and set it on my desk. It was a picture of me standing very still with my hands by my side and my eyes looking directly at the camera. I looked like a little statue. It's a wonder a bird didn't land on my head for a rest. "See," Mom said when she gave the photograph to me, "this is proof that you can sit still. So, whenever you feel out of control, look at the picture and it'll remind you to calm down." I looked at the picture and I stared at the little eyes and I tried to remember what I was thinking when I was so still, but I had no clue, so my mind wandered. Before long, I didn't remember about the string missing, and I plucked the key out of my shirt pocket and I popped it into my mouth. I stuck my tongue out so Seth Johnston could see the key from his desk in the next row. "What will you give me if I swallow this?" I whispered. "$1," he said, and he was good for it too, because he wasn't on free breakfast and free lunch, so I knew he had food money on him. This will be a fast buck, I thought, so I worked up my mouth full of saliva, and I swallowed hard, and the key scraped down my throat, all the way down my throat, a little sideways, but I did it all the way down. I opened my mouth to show Seth, and he was pretty amazed. He dug in his pocket and gave me $1. Then I reached for my chin to pull the string, but I felt only my lips. And suddenly I remembered there was no string, and I hopped straight up on my desk and I screamed, Miss Moxie, I ate my key!" Everyone spun around and stared at me, and Miss Moxie's eyes bugged out because she knew she had cut the string. "Oh, my Lord!" she shouted, and she grabbed me and ran to Miss Deb's room. "Watch my class!" she cried in a desperate voice, and then trotted me down to the nurse. Nurse Holyfield listened calmly to Miss Moxie, who was anything but calm. Then she unlocked a white cabinet and removed a small brown bottle and a plastic spoon. "Ipecac," she explained. "It'll make you throw up like a champ, I promise." She gave me a green plastic dish to hold under my chin. It looked like a wading pool for sea monkeys. And then she gave me a spoonful of medicine that tasted so bad that it made me vomit everything I'd eaten all last week. She stirred around through the vomit with a plastic fork, but no key. She gave me a second spoonful, and I gave her all of last year's food, too. Still no key. Should we call the doctor? Asked Miss Moxie. Nah, said the nurse. At this point, it's either cut him open or let nature take its course. I vote for nature, I said. And I have a class to get back to, said Miss Moxie. I'll tell Miss Jarbez he's down here and she can take care of him. While we waited, the nurse said she wanted me to play a game with me. I'm good at card games, I said. Grandma taught me how to play poker. No, she said, I want to ask you some questions, and I want you to answer them. What? I asked. I'm still thinking about poker and how much I miss Grandma. Well, you just answer the first question, she said. Do you lose a lot of things? It wasn't that I hated being asked a bunch of questions. I had nothing against questions. I just didn't like listening to them because some questions take forever to make sense. And sometimes waiting for a question to finish is like watching someone draw an elephant starting with the tail first. As soon as you see the tail, your mind wanders all over the place. And you think of a million other animals that could have tails until you don't care about the elephant because there's only one thing that you can think about a million other things. Do you lose a lot of things, she asked. Keys, I said, and gave her a big smile. One day, I lost my pants. I took them off in the bathroom, and I forgot where I left them. Do you like animals? I love animals, I replied. I want to get a dog. And when Miss Jarbez, the principal, come in, Nurse Holyfield talked to her out in the hall. And when they were finished, Miss Jarbez told me to follow her. Joey, You need a little extra help, she said as we walked down the main hallway. Think of it this way. Students have trouble with math, get extra math help. Or if they have trouble with reading, we give them reading help. I can read fine, I said. That's right, she said, and patted my head. But you can't sit still very long and keep your mind on your work, so we're going to give you a little sitting help. We went down a set of stairs to the basement. Are we going to visit the janitor? I asked. No, she replied. This summer, we put in a special ed room to help out kids who need extra help or attention. I heard about it, I said. Miss Maxby said I was going to be sitting there if I didn't settle down. She was right, Miss Jarbez replied, and then she opened the door and went into a big, bright yellow room that still smelled of fresh paint. Everyone is very friendly, she said, so don't be afraid. You'll probably know some of the children. But it was hard not to be scared. There was a few kids from upstairs, but the room was mostly filled with the hurt kids, the slow kids, the kids who steered the wheelchair with their chins, the spastic kids who walked and talked funny and who brought to the school with their own special bus or special cars from home. I always wondered where they went once they arrived. Now I knew. Plus, there were a lot of women hovering around who turned out to be moms, helping the teacher with their kids. It was pretty surprising to me that they weren't at work because mine was always working. But I guess these moms had a whole job just taking care of the kids, which was why I didn't belong there. Otherwise, my mom couldn't work. Can I go back to class now? I asked Miss Jarbez. After a while, she replied. First, I need to introduce you to Miss Howard. I looked away, far away to a shiny corner of the room because even my grandma taught me that it wasn't polite to stare at crippled kids. Then I looked back, and a few of them were looking at me, which was okay because I was normal. I waved at them, and they waved at me in return, some better than others, and I felt a little bit more relaxed thinking they were nice. I only broke a few rules, I said to the principal. There's nothing wrong with me but that. I know, she said, but we're going to help you learn not to break them. I've already learned that. I promise, I said. I'll never swallow another key again. I promise. I'm sure you won't. Just then, Miss Howard walked over and smiled at me. All right, guys. These chapters are getting a lot longer, so right there, I'm going to pause it when Miss Howard comes to them, and I'll get back to that tomorrow. See you at the end, guys.